Good evening, everyone. Welcome to Monday night bedtime chit-chat story time, where I like to sit, listen to Dave Ramsey debt telephone calls, past and present, see what we can learn from them. Make sure you got your teacup, family. Make sure you have your teacup, because we're going to be spilling that tea, all right? So this story ran about 2 weeks ago. I'm afraid my boyfriend wants me to financially support him. Oh, dear. Oh, dear. So let's go ahead. Thank you for being here with me. Let me squeeze this picture down just a little bit more. All right, I think we're set. Let's do it, folks. Let's spill that tea.
Today.
So I'm 21 and I graduate next month with a degree in finance.
Good for you.
And thank you. And so I've been dating my boyfriend now for almost a year. And, you know, as I'm graduating and as we've been talking about our life together, our future together, we have the idea of moving to Texas has come into mind. And so the idea kind of came into play because my boyfriend has a buddy out there that he could work with and make more money than what he's currently making. And I'm willing and open to the idea. However, I made it very, very clear to him when we started talking about the move that we both needed to have at least a couple $1,000s saved up prior to the move.
Ooh, I like this woman.
And I'm there. I have that money saved up. I'm pretty much ready to move.
Let me guess. She's done her due diligence. I'm just guessing here, folks. She's done her due diligence. All right. Hopefully she didn't have too much student loan debt. Okay. But let's put that aside right now. She says, you know what? I'm happy to move to Texas with you, dear boyfriend, of less than a year. I have a little problem with that, but we're going to put that aside, okay? Only a year? All right. I'd like to have seen a little bit longer, but that's all right. Whatever. Okay. And I'm willing to bet he ain't saved a dime. Something just tells me, because again, it says, I'm afraid my boyfriend wants me to financially support him.
After I graduate. And I've talked to him about potentially going and moving to Texas about 1 to 2 months before I do, because in the whole time that we've been together, I've never seen him work full time. He's not in school and he never went to college. And he works about 20 hours a week right now as a personal trainer in his own business. And so I kind of threw that idea out there for him.
Wait. Okay, remember, I do not speed up these videos, okay? He never went to college, and I'm not going to yay or nay that, because not everybody needs to go to college to have a good life. So, okay, I can put that aside, all right? But the concern that I have is he's never worked full time. And I think she said he works as a personal trainer. And I'm sorry, family, but personal trainers, for the most part, unless you're that celebrity Hollywood personal trainer and you got a bunch of royalties and deals that have nothing to do with personal training going on the side, you got a bunch of business deals, you know, selling preamp, protein, whatever. All right. Unless you got that, and that's not most people, he's making nothing.
And he doesn't want to move out there without me because he thinks
I'm sorry.
I won't follow him, but
Hold on, let me back. I'm sorry. Sometimes my finger trigger just gets a little shuddery.
Hours a week right now as a personal trainer in his own business. And so I kind of threw that idea out there for him. And he doesn't want to move out there without me because he thinks I won't follow him. But I genuinely believe that he doesn't want to move out there with me because
he needs a paycheck and she's it.
He doesn't have the financial means to do so. And I think he wants me to be there with him so he can lean on me a little bit.
All right, people, we know the tea. Get your teacups, everyone. Don't worry. If you don't have a teacup for tonight, you can pick up a teacup for tomorrow. All right, for those who don't know, the teacup is for, we got the gist of the story. So grab your teacups, family. I say, let's do it. Let us pour that tea. Ever so enlightening and refreshing. Can we say, family, that this boyfriend is no dum-dum? I think we can honestly say he's no dum-dum. Now, what I want to find out is just how high is her self-esteem. How high is her self-esteem? That's going to play a big part here.
But I've been burned in the past by an ex-boyfriend in a similar situation, and I lost thousands of dollars. And so...
Did she learn anything from it? What is her name? I don't know her name. Did the caller learn anything from, hey, I've been in this situation before, let us not repeat it? Again, her self-esteem is going to be the big factor. She has the information and from past history, which family is why we listen to telephone calls that can be years old. I call it now the archive edition. Yes, it'll be called the archive edition. That's when we go, to me, that's 2 years or more back. That to me, I now call that the archive edition.
I don't really know what to do. He tells me that.
How does she not know what to do? See, folks, this is, I'm telling you, self-esteem. She has all the information she needs. Not only does she have what the current situation is, she's got past history. So at some point, when you have the current situation, plus you have the past history, and you've been in the same situation, does there come a point where if you choose to go forward and milk the cow and the cow kicks you? I don't know if that was a good example or not, but hey, you know, something to think of, right? You go forward with that experience and you feed him everything that he wants and money, yada, yada, and he hurts you in the end. Whose fault is that? You know, first time, shame on you. Second time, shame on me. Something like that.
His financial status is none of my business, but I think if we're moving in together.
Hold up.
A situation, and I lost thousands of dollars, and so I don't really know what to do. He tells me that his financial status is none of my business, but I think if we're moving in together, it should be.
He says to her, your financial he says to her, quote, my financial status is none of your business. Oh, so if her alarm bells are saying, you know, I think he wants me to go because I will pay his bills so he doesn't have to save anything. Hey, if she chooses to support him, I wouldn't need a phone call to Dave Ramsey for this. This is actually a slam dunk case. No need to call Dave Ramsey for this.
Warning. I work 20 hours a week and my money's none of your business.
Wow. You know, I'll tell you, I had a relationship during post college. I was still in college, but also graduated from college. And the person that I was dating, what was it? So I was like I was like 21 because I just graduated from college. We had dated about a year before I graduated. It was near identical to this, nearly. Okay. And he basically worked, you know, odd jobs, bartending. And I'm not talking, you know, high fashion bartending where they can make, you know, as, you know, $50,000, $60,000, $70,000 being a bartender. No, I'm talking the weekend, you know, joint in Eugene. Okay. We're not talking high end bartending. All right. Hopefully that makes sense. And then sometimes if he didn't do that, he was working at a screen printing shop and, you know, and he just pretty much worked when he could. Family, it was the same people, if you've been following this channel, that he's the same dude that had me park my car in the rain because I paid less rent. Remember I told you at the beginning when student loan Chit-Chat video version, you know, first started, I think it was like September, right? September, October 2023. It's the same guy that told me to park my car in the rain because I didn't make as much. And again, it's not because he doesn't have a college degree, all right? Plenty of people make it without going to college. College is good for certain fields. Other fields, you don't need it. Especially those hobby fields, as you know, right? But he worked when he could. Meanwhile, I was much more stable. I was much more steady. And during the 2 years or so we were together, he just gained more and more weight. You know, didn't work 40 hours a week from what I recall. Maybe sometimes he did, maybe sometimes he didn't. You know, liked to lay on the couch, eat potato chips, watch football. It got to the point where it was so bad, I remember coming home and just going, please don't let him be there. That's how you know a relationship is really dead, okay? When you don't want to go home because that person is there. That's what, today I definitively know, throw in the towel.
Warning. The bells are going off in your head so loud that you can't even hardly speak around them.
This is where you can be academically smart, but not street smart. Okay? She's academically smart, but she doesn't appear to have street smarts. And it's interesting because the fact, like I was saying earlier, she even has to call in. This really doesn't require a call in. I'll be totally honest. This is not a. I mean, I know it's different for everybody, but this isn't a situation that I would need to call someone and go, Dave, should I dump this guy that only works 20 hours a week, basically has no job, appears to have no career of sorts, won't talk to me about his money, but he certainly knows about my finances, and he wants to move to Texas where his friends are. Notice, okay, it's about him, because if I'm correct, she said they want to go to Texas, not because of her, but because of him. And he's got buddies out there who will hook him up with a job, cattle ranching or whatever it is. I don't know. Okay. Should I dump him? Oh, and by the way, the last guy I was in a relationship with did the same thing. It cost me thousands of dollars.
Aren't they?
Yeah.
You have alarms going off all around you. You just described them to us very clearly.
I know.
Yeah.
Makes you wonder if she, some people have, I don't know how to describe it. It's like just low self-esteem in the sense of abandonment issues, perhaps. Now I sound like John. Is she safe? But you know what I mean? It's like, I would rather be used and abused by this guy who clearly doesn't show signs of loving me, but that's better than being alone.
I know.
It's just it's a hard reality. It's a hard pill to swallow, the reality of what the situation is. But I think you know it, Allison.
Yeah. And
I genuinely believe that you can get comfortable in a bad relationship. I genuinely believe you can. And I'm speaking from experience. You can get to the point where being comfortable in a bad relationship is less scary than being uncomfortable on your own. And that's because I've been there. But once you strip away the fear, either by choice or sometimes involuntary, in my case it was involuntary, okay? Because he chose to leave. It wasn't a choice that I make. But once you strip away that fear and you're forced into that new situation, I think oftentimes at some point you breathe a sigh of relief and go, dang, if I had known it was going to be like this, I would have ended the situation myself. I would have walked out the door myself. I would have admitted to myself that this wasn't a healthy relationship for me. But what happens is we get so used to being in routine, even though it's an unhealthy routine, psychologically, physically, whatever. It's an unhealthy routine, but we get so used to that unhealthy routine that I believe it can, to more weak-minded people, myself included, I'm including myself in that, okay, to more weak-minded people with lower self-esteem, that unhealthy, uncomfortable, bad relationship, that's normal. And to step out on my own feels abnormal. So I'm also kind of wondering if she went from one bad relationship straight to this one. Kind of what is it, out of the fire into the pan or something like that, right? Maybe she didn't give herself a whole lot of time between the two relationships. Because, like I said, this seems like a no-brainer problem to solve. He works 20 hours a week. Meanwhile, she's got her college degree. She's going to get her career going. She clearly has the ability and the drive to save money. Most of us are going, what are you doing with the 20-hour-a-week loser?
I've talked to him, and this also just, it impacts me a lot because, as I said, I'm about to graduate, and so I started looking for jobs out in Texas.
But is she at the point where it's healthy for her to go follow some dude who works 20 hours a week and is relying on his buddies to hook him up for a job in Texas? Or wouldn't she be better off going in her own direction, which might include staying where she's at or going in a totally different part of the country to pursue herself? At this point, in her case, I'd be like, you go to Texas, set yourself up, right? 6 months, I'll come out. 6 months to a year. If the relationship is truly going to survive, give it a year. I wouldn't even give it 6 months else. Give it a year because you got to pass that probation period. Give it 1 year. I'll fly out and see you, regularly. But in a year, we can reevaluate. If it's really meant to be, if it's really something that is supposed to stick, what's 12 months? And it's 12 months to prove to each other that they've got goals. She's proven to him that she can meet a goal, at least thus far. She can meet the goal of getting a degree and saving money. She's on 2 beautiful tracks. Again, we don't know what the student loan debt is, but that may not be relevant to this conversation. But it's always relevant somewhere in the back of our mind, right, family? But what's a year when you really get it down to it? I have known people personally who have literally uprooted their entire life, travel across country. Yeah, gal I met, 10 years back when I first got divorced, uprooted from New York to Florida. And she got off the plane. I think I might have told you this once before, family. She literally gets off the plane. The guy meets her at the airport and says, "I'm really sorry, but you're not moving in with me. I'd changed my mind about the relationship." Meanwhile, she had literally left her job. And I'm talking, she did some sort of detective police type work. Yeah. I mean, it was a career. She didn't have a job. This woman had a career. Okay. She had left that, was ready to move, totally relocated. But one of the things I would have to ask is, where you're moving to, has the person you're going to proven themselves in any way? And if he's not proven himself except to say, "Hey, move to where I want to live because it's convenient to me and my buddies," well, what does she have to gain by moving? She has nothing to gain. He has everything to gain. You've heard me say before, family, before you make a decision as to whether to do or not do something, when someone makes a request of you, ask yourself, what does that person have to gain? I know you've heard me say that, but it really is important. Okay? What does someone have to gain that only works 20 hours a week, is clearly, not motivated to get a degree, a trade, a skill? Because I've heard nothing of that type. Okay? Like I said, doesn't have to be a college degree. What trade skill has he got? I haven't heard one yet. What does he have to gain if she goes or if she stays behind?
We're kind of at the mercy of, when his friend says he can come, and
that's just what I want. I want to pick up my life, move to another state on the Chit-Chat conversation of a buddy that I don't even know, but this loser of a guy that I'm dating knows. Oh, that's definitely comfortable. Not.
The problem is, Allison, you're building your life around somebody, number one, that you're not married to, right? I mean, you have no legal grounds on any level, and you've been burned in the past financially with relationships, as you said, and so you're following somebody that there is no true commitment and no true legal binding of anything, right? And so that's red flag number one for me.
The fact that he said, "My finances is none of your concern."
And number two, there's so many splinters off of the situation that if I were your friends and sitting here, I would say, "Allison, what's best for Allison? What's best for Allison?" And that would be a different question if you guys were married. What's best for you guys as a couple?
Oh God, please don't buy a house with this guy and play house. And whatever, please don't. Please don't buy a house together or a car together or have a baby together.
But you're not. And so having that level of independence for you, Allison, to be able to say, what is best for me? And is it moving to a place that you don't have a job right now, following a guy who won't even let you into his finances, who hasn't had a pattern of doing well financially or work-wise because some buddy of his, X, Y, and Z? It sounds like a disaster. It really does.
Didn't I mention that, family? Did I not say about his finances? Yay me. Yay me. Yeah. She has established, I believe I alluded to that earlier, she has established a pattern. She has. She has started proving herself. What has he done to prove himself?
Does. And
so, Allison, you are very wise for 21 years old.
She's book wise, but for street smart, she might be dumb as a brick. I'm saying that nicely, but come on, folks. This is where people who are street smart go, and you went to college and you didn't learn this, because college is academia. Streets are streets.
Because you've actually analyzed this pretty carefully. You've got all the key points in the decision. What's hurting is that it's leading you to a conclusion that is painful.
If we think of our budget, and people look at why they're in debt, and how they got into debt, and then they look at how to get out of debt, the answers are almost easy to find. It really is. Cut back your spending. Take away a lot of your perks, some of your perks to a lot of your perks. Perhaps you're with the wrong partner that's an addict of some sort. Okay. But what hurts is, and Mr. Ramsey's right about this. I wish I had thought of it. It's because you already know how to find the answers. And when you find them, and she already has the answers, you don't like it. You don't like the conclusion that you've come to. Though you really never needed to research, not like your conclusion needed to be, an archaeological dig project, because really it's on the surface. Her past history already has told her what this situation is going to end like. And this is why I wonder, what is her emotional state of mind? She has an academic state of mind. We got that. But what's her emotional state of mind? And I'm willing to bet she's 21, okay? And she said she was in a past relationship, and she's been in this one for about a year. Well, let's just assume, let's just play devil's advocate, and let's say she dated the other guy, for 2 years. That would put her, 18, 19? So she goes straight from that loser dude to the next loser dude immediately. You know what I mean? If you kind of do the math on that. She doesn't appear to have ever had time for herself. She doesn't appear to have ever taken time to go, what can she do on her own out in the big wide world? Because let's face it, folks. At least having come from college, okay? Leaving college can be a bit scary. We go from high school to college and we think, oh my God, that's such a big jump. Yeah, it is a big jump. But college to the big wide world of adulthood, that's jumping off a high dive. She's had relationships within a very confined life experience, that is, as a college student. Because like I said, if you just mathematically look at it, she's been with this guy for a year, assume she dated the other guy for a couple of years, enough time for him to use and abuse her financially, okay, and possibly abuse her emotions, self-esteem, whatnot. She hasn't had, at least what I mathematically calculate, it's not like she's had even 2 years, 3, 4, 5 years on her own to see what can she do on her own out in the big wide world. So as much as we can sit and say, man, don't be with this loser, yada, yada, this guy's no good. He hasn't proven, himself in any way. We have to, and gently so, but we have to look at her. And we have to ask her, what's her name? Allison in Los Angeles. Allison, what have you done on your own outside the academic setting that's proved to yourself whether or not you need this person? She hasn't done anything yet. She's done nothing. And for some people, I can imagine that going into the big world of adulthood is scary. It's intimidating. And so in some ways, I get the sense that she might be using him as a crutch. Okay, just as much as he's using her as a crutch. In other words, it's kind of that symbiotic relationship they got going on. Yeah, we can say he's the more obvious loser, jerk, whatever you want to call him. But in a way, if her self-esteem is low enough, and if my math calculations, which I believe are pretty accurate, are right, she's never known her true self outside of high school and then immediately into college, and relationships all within the 4 walls of college. Now she's getting ready to step into adulthood, okay? And she's kind of scared. So much like a kitty, getting out of the wading pool and going onto the, the diving board for the first time. And some diving boards have handrails. Well, she could, and this is where she will have to hold herself accountable. I think part of the reason she's having such a hard time with this is she's kind of using the boyfriend, even though it's a dysfunctional, clearly, okay, we can see that from a mile away, dysfunctional, bad relationship that could wind up abusing and hurting her again. She's using the only thing she knows as a ramp to help get off that diving board into adulthood. But what she fails to understand is he can hold her back big time financially. If she thought the last boyfriend burned her, all right, financially, wait till what this guy can do. Wait till what this guy can do. Because now she doesn't have the four-wall protection of being a student anymore. I know that was kind of windy, but hey, you know this channel. But if I break it down, that to me is kind of what it is. Because it's not fair to absolutely blame everything on the boyfriend. Hey, he's just going to get out of it what he can. Yeah, like I said, we know he's a loser. We can definitely put that to the side. We got that part established. But he's going to get as much of it out as he can. And if she's going to give it to him for free, right? Hey, why shouldn't he take it? So it's going to be her job to determine how much she's willing to give for free. I heard Dave say once in a call not too long ago, I can't remember what episode, folks. You know, I've done over a couple hundred of these. But I remember he said to a caller not too long ago, I think I'm going to say it's in the last month maybe, he goes, are you going to stop this action now? Have you had enough? It was a woman that had called in about her husband, you know, basically hiding money and stuff. And he goes, have you had enough of it? And he wasn't saying it to be insensitive, but he's basically saying, look, none of this changes until you decide you want to make those changes. And sometimes, folks, we have to make changes and we have to kick certain people out of our lives. Okay, some people, you know, they're toxic for us. So we have to decide. She's clearly been in one toxic relationship and she's getting ready to enter another because I believe it's the only thing she knows. It's the only security she's ever had. And a part of her is going, well, insecurity that you're familiar with can be a whole lot better than entering something alone that seems so foreign. Just a thought.
If you had a little sister, do you have a little sister?
Yes, I do.
How old is she?
She's 12.
Okay. So she's 21 and you're now 30. And she comes and gives you this scenario. What are you going to tell her?
I would tell her not to do it.
Okay.
Absolutely not to do it.
Exactly. Because just like budgeting, folks, just like not so much budgeting, but getting ourselves out of debt. Okay. We know the answer. And the reason I believe she would be able to tell her sister not to do it, but she's having a hard time telling herself, is because it's always easier when you're not emotionally directly involved. You know, it's easy to look at someone else and go, get a second job, bring in more income, cut down on the current expenses you have. It's easy to do that because you're not the one actually having to do it. But when you have to get the second job, when you have to cut down on your current income / expenses, well, that becomes a whole different thing. So it's easy for her to tell her sister, drop the guy, okay? Because she's couple steps removed. But when she's the one who has to drop the guy, she's going, well, wait a minute. You know, my mornings, afternoon, and evening routine is going to suddenly change. Everything changes. It's much harder to make those changes when it applies to you, even though you know the answer and you know exactly what to do. And the amazing part is she has a blueprint from past history. So she's really got a guide.
All right.
But the thing is, I'm in this place where I am worried that if he treats me so wonderfully, and I'm worried that I'm never going to find someone.
What is up with these people who go, but he treats me so wonderfully? Caller, do you remember last week, caller? Can't remember what day last week, okay? We have that 28-year-old son with the mom who basically wants to use her son as a retirement plan. And what did the son say about the mom? Anybody, family, remember? The son says something like, but the one, quote, the wonderful mother she is. And then he made a comment about how she raised them so well. But that was an exact quote, the wonderful mother she is. But yet the mother's actually abusing him financially and probably emotionally. Okay, this was last week's call. All right. What is up with these people who are with people who are toxic? Yet they go, but they're so wonderful. What's it called? Is it the Nuremberg effect? Wasn't that like, I could be wrong. I don't know my history that well. But wasn't there an experiment years ago that they did that people who, captors would have a victim for a really long time, and the victim got to the point where they wouldn't even testify against their captor? Because they would go, but the captor was fair. Yeah, they beat me sometimes. Yeah, they did other things to me sometimes. But, it could have been so much worse. And I'm alive today. They didn't kill me. Okay. I don't remember if it's called the Nuremberg effect. For some reason, I think that's what it's called. Okay, I'm not interested enough to look it up. All right. But it's that sort of thing. So she's like, but he treats me so well. Hell, if I only have to work 20 hours a week, I get to move to the state of my choice, and you bring yourself and the wallet, and I get all that for free, of course, I'm going to treat you like royalty. You can go out and do all the work, all the labor, all right? I'm just going to live off you. Yeah, I'd treat you like royalty too. If I was lazy, had nothing going on in my life, and I'm looking for a free ride. She cannot give to him anything she doesn't wish to give voluntarily. In other words, he can't take from her anything she's not willing to give. That's a better way of saying it, okay? He can't. He can't force her to move. He can't take her money, all right? Unless she voluntarily moves, voluntarily gives him the money. But it's true. She can't give him anything. Or I should say, he can't take anything from her that she doesn't voluntarily relinquish. I think this is one of those cases where, what is it? When someone is being abused, all right, I really think this is kind of like one of those Nuremberg cases. I really hope I'm right, but I really think that's what it's called. Because the fact that she's in a relationship that's as dysfunctional as the first one she has. Remember, family, we talked about alcoholics, and alcoholics, people who are raised in alcoholic families will oftentimes find someone who's an alcoholic and then unfortunately create their own alcoholic family, even though they themselves may not be an alcoholic. Why? It's comfortable. They understand, oh yeah, I know how the alcoholic blows up. I mean, not me personally, but just sort of playing devil's advocate. Oh yeah, I know what it's like to smell, alcohol on their breath every day when they get home, what it's like to stay out late, pick them up off the park bench at 2:00. In other words, that lifestyle becomes so familiar. And I suspect that this dysfunctional lifestyle of being abused financially is so familiar to her that she feels that this is what she's going to need to propel herself into adulthood. And that's really sad.
No.
He actually doesn't treat you wonderfully. If he was working like 60 hours a week, making $100,000 a year, showering you with gifts and paying for everything and asking you to marry him so that he can make a lifelong commitment to you, and then, honey, let's go off to Texas and make a wonderful life, that's treating you wonderfully.
See, this girl doesn't know what it is. She doesn't know. So it makes me think she came from a dysfunctional family. It really does. And remember what he said to her. My finances is none of your business. Right there. But yet he wants you to pick up and move out of state. And of course he wants you to go with him, because what does he want? It's not just the money he wants, but he wants the assurance that he's got control so that the money can't leave. Because even if you stayed behind and you send him money, that's not the same as you move, you play house, because that's where it's going to be headed, right? You're going to play house. God help you, you get pregnant. Because I tell you, if you get pregnant by this guy, whoo, then he's got you exactly where he wants you. I know we oftentimes like to think it's the guy getting we oftentimes like to think, oh, it's the woman who wants to get pregnant so she can trap a guy. Hey, there are guys that'd be happy to trap down a financially successful woman. And even though her career's not set yet, she's clearly shown she has the aptitude, she has the motivation to get it. He knows what he's got. He knows what he's got.
Not come over here so I can lean on you because I don't work much.
And why should he work more if she is going to be there? She is his meal ticket.
Yeah.
That's not treating you wonderfully. It's not the definition of wonderful. You would tell your little sister that. All I'm telling you
you're
is
right.
what you've already told me.
Makes me wonder if she had a father figure also in her life. Just a thought.
I don't really
Yeah.
know what's going on except what you told me. But I can tell you this. I have had these situations over the years where everything in my brain is telling me not to do something, but my heart is pushing me forward anyway. And I always look back and go, ouch. So there's a proverb, Proverbs 27:12, that says, I just looked it up because I couldn't remember exactly where it was while we were talking. And there's actually a book been written on it by Andy Stanley. But he says, a wise person sees danger ahead and avoids it, but a foolish person keeps going and gets into trouble.
Well, it's a good thing that proverb wasn't held against me because, man, I was in trouble so many times, even though I saw the danger clearly ahead. She's been given a gift, and that is she's been through this. And something I have learned is, as bad and traumatic as things can be, if you will take that experience as a gift, it can change your future. But you have to be willing to acknowledge and admit where you went wrong. You have to have, what is it my principal would say? You have to have the ability to self-reflect. That's what she would say. Can you reflect? If she is unable to reflect, seriously, and I don't mean, yeah, I know he's bad, should I really go? Obviously, she, as Dave said, she's done some reflection. She's called in. But can she reflect to the point that she has the strength, the emotional strength? Because I'm not really worried about her physical strength, okay? In other words, she can live here or there. That I'm not worried about. But does she have the emotional strength to disconnect herself from someone that's clearly not good for her?
And so,
Yeah.
no kidding. I mean, that's, like the proverb's kind of obvious. But it's, I've at times gone ahead anyway, even though I knew down inside of you, your spirit is telling you, the better parts of Allison are speaking to you, and you're saying, this guy's not yet eligible for a life partner.
And it doesn't mean he could never be eligible, but he's got a hell of a lot of proving of himself to do. In my case, minimum, he would need to, in her situation, unestablished. She's not established yet. He's certainly not established, and it doesn't sound like he's going to be established anytime soon. And here's the other thing. If she were to allow him to go to Texas first, and she pursues her life, okay, as she moves forward with her life, I'm sure that one of the things he's afraid of is he's going to become looking less and less attractive, right? Again, she's been shuttered in the four walls of what I call school. Once she steps outside of school, she's going to be introduced to other men. Gee, her eyes are going to open wider. Okay, so she's not just meeting the men that she meets in college and that little, hotbed there of just, a very specific group of people. She's now going to step out and meet other men. And that, I guarantee you, is something that he's concerned about. The boyfriend is concerned about that because stack him up against just about any guy and the boyfriend looks like a loser. He doesn't exactly want her going out and going, I know you moved to Texas a year ago, and I know I told you I was going to follow, but, I was going to pursue my dreams while you're pursuing your dreams in Texas. But I've decided after a year that, I don't think moving is in my best interest. Now what the hell's the guy going to do? His meal ticket just stayed behind. By the boyfriend encouraging her to go to Texas immediately with him, part of it is the control of, I don't want you to meet anybody else, because if I allow you to meet other people, then you might go, I don't want to be with this boyfriend who only works 20 hours a week. I'm meeting people in my workplace that work full time. I meet people in my workplace. They're motivated. All right. They've got goals. They're working on their building career. In other words, I'm meeting people more of my mental, what is it? Aptitude, standing, whatever. Okay. I'm not, she's meeting people in her court, in her playing field. It's like when my students will say to me, as we round the end of my 18th year of teaching here in Tampa, students will say to me about how they're going to miss high schools. How they're going to miss middle school so much, and they're kind of nervous about high school. That's all understandable. And here's what I tell them. You know what? Once you get settled into high school, I tell them, I give you the first month. I said, by the end of that month, I said, you're going to look back at middle school and wonder how you ever made it through, and you would never go back. And they're like, no. And I go, yeah. I said, you will. And I tell them, you know how you look at your elementary school? I said, would you want to go back to elementary school? And they're like, well, no. I said, okay, right? And you thought this was the big playing field of middle school. I said, well, that's how high school's going to feel. I said, I'll give you 1 month. And for some of you, it'll only take a couple of weeks. There'll be a few, outliers, and they'll need a little more time to adjust. But in general, I've said to them, I give it by your first grading period, the first 4 or 5 weeks. Okay. I said, you'll look back at this and you'll go, I don't want middle school again, because you've had your eyes open to something bigger. Your world has expanded. Her world can expand if she gets away from him and pursues life under her own terms, under a new vision. It stays shrunk if she stays with him, so he can control her, so he only has to work 20 hours a week and she gets to do all the labor. This would be the type of guy that definitely would be a gold digger. Definitely a gold digger. She may not have any gold yet, but he's not stupid. He sees the potential she has to be a really good income earner, a really good breadwinner.
He hasn't earned the right for someone as good as Allison yet.
And I've talked about that too. Have I not, family? Yay me. Yay me. I've talked about that. I've said he hasn't proven himself. And like I said, I really, really do wonder if she came from a dysfunctional family. You don't have to be a gambleaholic, a shopaholic. You don't have to have those type of addictions to have addictions like, just simply dysfunctional relationships. It may not involve alcohol or drugs. It's just a dysfunctional relationship. It's a dysfunctional, needy relationship.
He may be a sweet guy, but there's a lot of lazy guys that are sweet.
Oh, that's good. There are a lot of lazy guys that are sweet. Yeah. And the sweeter you are to a lazy guy, guess what? They get sweeter and sweeter until pretty soon they ain't doing crap and you're doing all of it.
Yeah. So what do you suggest I do?
I suggest that you tell him, ta-ta, bye to Texas, and don't stick around here waiting for me, because I may be going to a total different state. As a matter of fact, I think we should probably give our relationship a breather, and if we're still together a year or two from now, then maybe we got something. In this case, family, time is on her side. Think about it like this. I just had this little thought. Time is on her side and against him. It's against him because he needs her to stay by his side now. Not 2 years from now. Not after she's had time to go out, look around at the cow pasture and see what else is mooing out there. Okay? He needs her now. Whereas time is on her side, because if she says, halt, I don't want to do anything yet. I want to look around at the big old world. I want to see what's outside these 4 college walls. I want to see what's out there. And then she's got all the time to do it. That then hurts him, because a guy like this, it doesn't take a lot for, like I said, it doesn't take a lot for a guy only working 20 hours a week with no drive, it appears, to quickly be replaced by someone else. Quickly. It's not like she's looking at a guy who has a whole lot to offer. Okay. I may not, hell, I'll use myself. Okay. Not that I think I'm all that. I just like to use myself. Okay. I may not be wealthy. All right. But you got to admit, I have my shit together at this point. Okay. Full-time job with pension, with Social Security, working on building up a couple 100,000 over the next 12 years. That's my financial goal. Okay. Drive obviously a new car. I am on track to pay it off in 6 to 7 months. I'm right on track. By the way, that car's down to a $15,850 balance from 26,000. So I'm clipping along on that. Okay. I have goals. I little 840 square foot condo paid off. The only thing I'm really missing to some extent is, a whole lot of materialistic stuff, but I live within my budget. Oh, and that's the other half. Okay. When the car's paid off again, I'll go back to living on 50% of my budget. In other words, my goal has been, I want to have something to offer so that I'm not just dead weight to somebody. And the sparkling personality, well, the sparkling personality comes for free. But you know what I mean? So it's not like she's looking at a guy that's got so much going for him that she'd have to think twice about whether or not she should replace him. This guy is a worn out pair of shoes that can be replaced in an instant from something from Payless. She don't need to go to Nordstrom's rack to go get a shoe. She could just go to Payless at the mall. And any shoe is going to look better than the one she's wearing right now. That's what he's afraid of. He's very, very replaceable. The higher quality the person, the character, okay, the higher quality they are, obviously the harder it is to replace. And I'm not talking just about money. In fact, I would say that's probably the least of what I'm talking about, because someone that's high quality, good character, yada, yada, okay, they're going to have their finances together. And somebody like me, I may not be rich and stuff, but I am financially solid. I will do no harm to anyone that I should be in a relationship with. No harm at all. In fact, my goal is, all right, to be an asset. That's the goal. He's easily replaceable, and he knows this. And this is why time is not on his side, but it's on hers. And if he's street smart, which I'm willing to bet, here's the other thing. He's street smart, I'm willing to bet. Why do I think that? Because right now, he's got her wrapped around his finger. How do we know? Because she's calling in, dating a loser of a guy going, well, should I or should I not break up with him? Meanwhile, the rest of us are in the stands, the bleachers going, yeah, toss him. He's no good. So it's almost like he knows how to play the street game. She knows how to play the academics. Right?
We come from very, very different financial backgrounds. My parents are immigrants, and they didn't get the opportunity to go to college, and they worked so hard to be where they are today.
So your family is a family of work ethic.
And hopefully you're not going to throw away that work ethic for a loser.
Yes.
Yeah. And you are. You're a person who works.
Yes.
Tell him that.
Yes, I have two jobs.
Tell him that.
And please, Allison in Los Angeles, don't be one of those women. God love you, sweetheart. Please don't be the woman that goes, but I can change him. If I just move to Texas with him and I just try a little bit more and I put that immigrant family work ethic behind us a little bit more, I can change him. Oh, please don't. Because here's worst case scenario. Okay, she goes to Texas. They, quote unquote, play house. They buy a house. Damn well she's going to be the one paying for it. She gets knocked up. They're not married. Then he decides, for whatever reason, or she decides, whatever, it would be more likely she decides, this is not the relationship with me. Meanwhile, she's got, baby with her. She winds up paying him alimony. Yeah, she winds up paying him alimony because she was the breadwinner.
I can't go with you until I see some financial responsibility and some work ethic.
Minimum. I'm going to say safely in this minimum 2 years. 2 years. 2 years. I don't think a person would have to date me for 2 years to figure it out, because I'm an open book. Like I said, all I got to do is just watch my YouTube channel. And if you're in a personal relationship with me, I will show you the records.
And his codependence on you, not just financially, but the idea that if he moves first and you may not follow and that scares him, that's not strength either. right?
Yeah.
There's a emotional codependence there as well, Allison.
Emotional codependent and financial codependent.
And let me just say too, you would say this to your sister if you were 30 and she was 21. He's not the only one.
Oh God.
Family, did I just not say that? Did I not say that? Hold on.
He's not the only one, Allison. I promise you. You're 21. I promise you.
And unless he changes, he's not the one.
And that's the end of the episode. Family, that is what the boyfriend is worried about. The boyfriend knows that, I don't know about statistics, but she just graduated from college. She's going to be applying for what I know are professional jobs. You just know she's going for professional. Okay? And the loser of a boyfriend at 20 hours a week is going, wait a minute. If she gets too much exposure to the real world out there, I'm replaceable. And he would be right. He is absolutely replaceable. Well, family, I do believe that covers bedtime chit-chat story time for Monday night. I'd like to thank you all for being here. I hope you will consider subscribing. I will see you guys tomorrow night on Tuesday, right here at the computer deck. At least, that's the plan. Good night, everyone.